The world is complex, the Bible is complex. Human existence is a tangled ball of experience, perception, and understanding. Ravel is a puzzling word, denoting both a tangling and untangling. This podcast attempts to hold honest conversations in good faith. Some ideas expressed in this podcast will be challenging. Others will be obvious. When a PhD in biblical interpretation and a habitually podcasting man-child discuss matters of society, scripture, and scandal, you get Ravel.
Hey everybody, you are listening to Ravel, and it's me, your best buddy Basil. And with me, as always, I've got the rhythmic, the mellifluous, the flow master, Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates. What's up, Chrissy?
What up, homie?
Flow master is in the house.
Yes, sir.
And today, we continue our series, talking to artists.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's great. It's musical this time as we speak with someone that Chris brought to us so kindly, so generous with their time. And their name is simply Loso.
Yes, Loso.
Tell us about Loso, Chris.
Well,
we learn about Loso.
Yeah,
but
we'll get into it a little bit in the show, but just a friend of mine met several years back, and he is a recording artist, but also involved in the very interesting world of rap battling.
Yeah, not just involved in rap battling. He is a professional rap battler.
He is, yes.
And a very high-ranked rap battler. What is this ninth in the universe or something?
This is what we learn about him, ninth in the universe. So
he's rated the ninth greatest rap battler in the universe, and we got him for the show, folks. That's a big get, if you ask me.
It is indeed.
And yeah, and very fun conversation. We learn a lot about rap battling, learn a lot about rap, and I know what you're thinking, dear listener. You're saying to yourself, well, I came to listen to Ravel to hear some very intellectual conversations, stimulating conversations about the Bible, theology, things above this mere earth. And I'm not sure if I signed up to learn about rap battling. Well, stick around, folks, because it gets deep. It gets real deep. Not only do we learn about the world of rap battle and hip-hop and these sorts of things, but Loso is also a Christian and a very just on fire dude, which we appreciate very much around here. And he has a lot to say about being a Christian, being in the rap battle culture, the hip hop culture, what that is like, what that means to him, perhaps what that means to us, as well as getting into some deeper conversations about communicating about God through not just rapping, but also metaphor and art, and how that affects everyone who comes in contact with it. We learn about, just all sorts of things, talking about being a presence in different cultures versus isolating ourselves. We talk about other things, all sorts of things. Can you think of any of these other things off the top of your head, Chris?
Yeah, so kind of, he'll go through his writing process and, like you said, kind of the setting and the culture of everything. But, you kind of were talking about the idea that, maybe people were coming here looking for some kind of theological treatment, but I think
you're going to get it.
That's kind of the point of what we're doing, and what you'll find in this conversation and what you'll find in all the conversations, hopefully, as we're talking to artists, is they have very creative minds, and in having these creative minds, those tend to inform their relationship with the Lord, and they actually can communicate very rich and deep theological matters in ways that you might not usually be accustomed to hearing them. So, yeah.
And if you've never deconstructed the structure of rap, comedy, and the Bible and prophecies in the Bible, and discovered the through lines of all three of these things and how they are perfectly constructed to inform the human experience. You're going to get that in this episode, folks. It's really, I think everybody's going to find a lot of value, not only learning about, being a human being interacting with other human beings and also with God, but just sort of like the structure of rhetoric and how that influences eternal things. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there are some surprises in here, folks. At the end, you'll want to stick around to the whole thing, because if you thought that I would be approaching my 10th year anniversary as a podcaster and pass up a chance to rap battle the 9th greatest rap battler in the universe, you are sadly mistaken, because that is something that you can hear me pretty much have a panic attack and or heart attack, but then participate in an activity that I never expected that I would. So that's very fun, and you'll have a little creative treat from Christopher as well at the end of the podcast.
Yes, holding me to it, aren't you?
Holding you to it, bro. It's in the intro now. You have to follow through. Okay. All right. Anything else to say about Loso before we get going?
No. We'll sample in some of his work here throughout the episode, and you guys can get a taste of it. But yeah, let's just get right to it.
Here we go. Everything Loso.
What's a mountain to my God? Any problem he can solve. Chris Paul with the law. Watch him finish in it. Work it out. 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 Hey, what's a mountain to my God? Any problem he can solve. Chris Paul with the law. Watch him finish in it. Work it out.
Hey, work it out.
Work it out.
Hey, work it out.
Work it out.
Hey, work it out.
Work it out. Hey.
I know you demanding the truth. Why panic and manners in you? Beginning of wisdom is knowledge, and me understanding that nothing is you. Wait, they packing the mag, but lacking the act. You know that we'll probably give. I happen to have a matter of fact, something a father would give. A life that probably rests a rock like that dude Hover. Oh yeah, we drunk up in the spirit, but my crew's sober. I was young up in the faith, then I grew older. I'm Jesus at the resurrection. I move bolder.
Ain't nothing too hard for me to work it out. Give you strength to climb that mountain.
And with us today we have Loso. He's a battle rapper, national recording artist, and teacher. Dr. Chris, this is going to be fun, but I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to Loso. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man? I'm here.
Oh,
it's an
yeah.
honor.
Yes, you are. You sound great, too. We're happy to have you. And, thanks for giving us your time today. We're pretty stoked to talk to you, but also people like you. We talked a little bit before we started recording, where we've really focused on talking to the smart guys with glasses and beards and PhDs and things like that, which there's a lot of value.
Wow, thanks, bro. I feel so offended right now.
Offended because I described you as a smart guy with glasses and beards. We'll work on that. I'll pray for you, Chris. It'll be good. But thanks for being here, man. Would you want to start out with just like telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a smart guy with tattoos and like big t-shirts and earrings and stuff. No, but my name is Loso. Married for I should probably get this right. Valentine's Day was yesterday. So I'm married 4 years. It'll be 5 in July.
Oh, congrats.
But Puerto Rican Colombian man, originally from New York, but been raised in Tampa since I was 10 years old. And so, fell in love with hip hop at a young age. And unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 12, which therefore pushed me to sort of look for a father figure. in really the only place where I saw men at, which was hip hop. And so I started looking to hip hop to understand what it meant to be a man, because I was the oldest in my household, and I knew I needed to step up. Unfortunately, though, hip hop taught me the more women you had, or the more money you had, or the more cars you had, that defines you as a man. And so as I was growing up, by God's grace, he interrupted my life when I was 18. And I like using the word interrupted, because I was not looking for him in any place whatsoever. Interrupted my life. I was just on YouTube one day, literally minding my business, and I just ran into a sermon on the holiness of God, and it changed my perspective on life. I had heard that message before, but that day it just clicked. And so from there, obviously, I'm a firm believer that the Lord isn't just into redeeming people, but also cultures. And so he took this guy with tattoos and baggy shirts and pants, and we changed his heart and then put him right back into the culture that I was previously in, to go ahead and impact it. And so from there, went to Bible college, wanted to know what I believed and why I believed it. And so,
you just sent it. You went out to Bible college. All right. Yeah. Serious business. And so, man. You ain't messing around.
Yeah. Went to Trinity College in Florida.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, where I ended up getting a pastoral degree there. And from there, I taught English and history at the middle school level for some students. But even before that, I was only working in like juvenile detention centers, just giving my time where I can kind of just be an impact to younger men. And so moving forward, I ended up meeting a guy at the juvenile detention center in which I was volunteering in, and he had heard me do an a cappella rap for the boys. He invited me to a studio that night, and he just turned on some instrumentals and was like, hey, just write. And so he taught me how to just write a verse a day, and that became like this routine thing that I would do. And I would just write verses for the Lord, because that's the only thing that I knew at that time. I didn't want to rap about anything else. And so long story short, moving forward, people started just gravitating towards the type of metaphors that I was putting in my raps, type of content I was rapping about. And it opened up opened up an opportunity for me to go ahead and meet some battle rap league owners, where they first saw me, the first time that they heard me, their exact words were, "Where the hell have you been?" And so they had never seen anybody like me, or heard anybody like me. And so I tell people, man, just in that specific setting, I was able to sort of elevate pretty fast. But that's just, you and I both know that's just the favor of the Lord. That's just the grace of God. And so right now, man, that's what I do. I travel pretty much, if not twice a month, but once a month for a battle rap event, in which, they contact me and they say, hey, we want you to go ahead and compete against such and such. This is not Christian at all. I'm the only, and
you
where
mean
I
the
am,
events?
the events are not Christian at all.
Yeah.
I am Christian. My content is obviously influenced by my biblical worldview, and therefore, there's 3 other guys that obviously roll with me as well, who are also Christians. But for the most part,
the Horsemen.
Yeah, but for the most part, battle rap itself is not, they're not keen to the things of the Lord at all. But I have been able to create great relationships with the people there, and so I do that. Like I said, I'm a national recording artist, been able to record some music and travel off of that as well. And whenever I get time as well, I still volunteer at certain schools to kind of just partner with them and just help out. So my passion overall is to just teach. And sometimes, that could be in the capacity of younger kids or older people at my church, wherever it's at. So, and I'm here. This is Loso.
You're busy, man. You're a busy dude.
I try to be right now. We're actually starting to have children. So we just start planning on having children. So I believe that everything's gonna slow down once that happens. So I need to take full advantage of it right now.
Well, right on. That's cool, man. Chris, how did you find this guy?
Yeah, well, we had a mutual friend, Aaron White. He's out there somewhere. What's up, Aaron? And actually, Loso taught there at the school that my wife was at, so they were kind of something of neighbors there at the school, and we just kind of somewhere along the way. I actually Loso knows, but had a rap recording career there for about a day.
What?
Yeah,
Did I know this?
No. My buddy Aaron, I have always been into, not always, but I really got into Christian hip hop. It was kind of an interesting story because for a while Christian hip hop was like so bad. I mean, it was like DC Talk was like all that they had to offer.
Hey, I love
and then
DC
eventually,
Talk.
Yeah,
I mean, DC Talk they're good. They're good, but
DC Talk, bro.
you can't put, you couldn't put DC Talk up against whatever Snoop or Dre or something,
right.
back in the day. But now we have, all these artists, all these Christian, rappers, hip hop artists that are out there, and they're putting out music that, in my personal opinion, is far better than the secular music. And I just started getting into it real hard, and I was listening to everything I could get a hold of. And I was just really into it. So my friend, for, kind of like a birthday special surprise, he reserved us some time in a recording studio, had a beat written, and then he surprised me and showed up there with all the boys, and we all just like laid down a track. Maybe one day I'll release it. But anyway,
What do you mean one day? You're definitely putting that track on this podcast.
Yeah, that's the intro.
We'll see how it goes. But we'll definitely be hearing some Loso stuff on here. I don't know.
Crazy.
But anyway,
okay.
I met him kind of through all those circumstances, and then actually one time, and this kind of might be a nice segue into talking about kind of some of the culture of battle rap, because there's a whole culture there. But the guy Aaron, who set up that birthday party for me, he and I went up to Atlanta to see Loso at one of his battles there, and man, it is quite an experience going to one of those events. Like Loso was saying, it's not Christian by any means. I mean, you're showing up and there's just kind of a bunch of people. It doesn't seem like any one of them cares for the Lord at all. It's at a bar. There's people, smoking weed and drinking and doing everything that's going on there. At this particular event, actually, Shaq was there. He showed up to come out. Yeah,
How
it was
am
pretty.
I just learning about this secret rap life of Dr. Christopher Ryan Gates?
Yeah, well, anyway, it was a super cool event. We had a really good time up there, and it was kind of what was so impactful about it to me is that you're standing around in this huge crowd of people. None of them, it doesn't seem really have any kind of, care for the Lord or anything like that, but they're so vibing with, unless you've been to one, you can't really understand it until you've been there. But they start anticipating like the next lines of whoever's up there, and they'll start filling in and kind of rapping along with them. It's really crazy. I felt like outside because there were so many times that the whole crowd is just like recognizing this thing that's coming, and I was just like shocked. Everybody chimes in. It's really, really crazy. It's a really cool experience to be in. But then you have all these people rapping about whatever, killing people and with drugs and all the stuff that goes along generally with that kind of genre, the worldly genre at least of it. And then Loso gets up there and just unabashedly and very skillfully starts presenting the gospel to not only this person that he's battling against, but all of the people who are there listening. And it was just completely mind-blowing to be there and to see somebody in this kind of setting being so straightforward with the gospel and doing it in such a way where people are like, it's dropping jaws. You're standing there and it's so brilliantly constructed. It's so creatively done that it's just really... it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. It's really something of a spiritual experience, particularly when, you're incorporating the Holy Spirit in it. So talk a little bit about what it's like to be somebody, an ambassador for Christ in the middle of a setting like that. Because I've only just experienced it live just at one time. I've watched so many of your videos. You get in YouTube holes, and if you guys Google him on YouTube, there's so many of them out there. But talk about that.
Well, I just want to mention I did get a chance to watch some videos, and I had I mean, I knew of the existence of the battle rap culture and thing, and I mean, but honestly, my only interaction with it was, I don't know, the movie 8 Mile and
Exactly.
maybe some TikToks
Yeah.
with clips of Wild 'N Out or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk a little bit about that culture and
Yeah.
what it's like to do what you do in there.
Yeah, and that's usually what people compare it to. So like, if I ever run into somebody and I tell them, especially now because I'm full time, so like I do this often and you get paid pretty well where I can do this full time. And so when people ask me what I do and I tell them I'm a battle rapper, they're like, oh, like 8 Mile. Well, that's what they used to say. Now it's even weirder though, because now when I tell them I'm a battle rapper, they for some reason. Some ladies, they say, oh, like Hamilton? And I was like, nothing like Hamilton. But it's just funny how, like, that's, like, the thing that they go to now. So,
man.
But yeah, so, I grew up as a fan. I love the competition. I love the art form. I think battle rap, and this is just my opinion, but it's a high opinion. I think battle rap is the highest form of hip hop. Period.
Let me just jump in and throw this in, and I'll give it back to you. I'm sorry, but I was thinking about this before we got started, and if I don't get back to it, I won't. One of the things that I love about hip hop music is that they always have the double entendre, and they'll have this very creative way they use a word, and it has like two meanings, But in battle rap, I think I've seen you do a triple entendre before. Did you get a quadruple in one time?
I didn't, but my friend Street Hims, he is
did Hims get
notorious.
Okay.
Yeah, he is notorious for doing that.
Sorry, that is part of the creativity, though, that you guys, the battle rappers, are the masters, in my opinion, of doing that double entendre. So carry on. I was just supporting your point.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the purest form of hip hop. I just think when you think of lyrical ability, unfortunately, not everyone in the world would deem what rappers do as musically or musical. But there's just an art form. There's just a high art to
Tekashi,
it.
6ix9ine, that's not that's not high art.
Exactly. And so with battle rap, what I loved, obviously I love the art form, but then there was this competition to it, and I saw, and I was already doing music, but when people heard me do, and really how I started to get into it before I even break down the culture, there was a pastor out in Brandon, and he actually had asked KB to do an a cappella verse on the Book of Hosea, but KB had declined it. He just couldn't do it at the time. And so he had asked me, the pastor had asked me, he said, hey, do you want to do it? And I never did anything like this. And I said, all right, I'll do an a cappella on the Book of Hosea. But I was so immersed in battle rap culture that when I did my a cappella on the Book of Hosea, it was as if a battle rapper, was articulating the truths of God. And it wasn't so much like a spoken word, but I literally was battling the people in the congregation, but it was with the scriptures and it was with what the Lord was trying to convey with Hosea. And so I did it, and I mean the church was just they were just standing there and all jaws dropped. And so the pastor comes up to me, he's like, hey, look, I'm going through all of the minor prophets. Can you go ahead and just work alongside me? And I said, okay, and I had so much fun doing that one that I was like, fine, you know what I'm saying? I'll do it. And I kept doing it, and I did, I even, Chris, Woodward, he was teaching systematic theology at the time. And you either had to write, I forgot, maybe like a 5-page paper or something on John Stott's Cross of Christ, or he gave me the opportunity to go ahead and do a spoken word on it. And lo and behold, I did it. I did one on the centrality of the cross. And, so that was kind of like my my cop out for writing some papers. So some of the professors were allowing me to just rap in front of the class. And so, but when I did all that, people were hearing that and they were like, hey, man, you need a battle rap. And I felt like I could not compete with those guys. There was no way I was going to be able to memorize that much material and do it in front of that many people. But lo and behold, ended up doing a tryout, and after every event, it just seemed like there was just a bigger situation that the Lord had just put me in front of. If I was to communicate to someone who knew nothing about it, it's nothing like 8 Mile. It is definitely nothing like Hamilton. But I guess I would compare it to boxing, where like you have different divisions. You have different. Obviously, you have thousands and thousands of battlers all over the world. Actually, I think they said they estimated about 24,000 active battlers in the world right now. Shameless plug, I was ranked number 9 in the world. Really, the universe. Because if you think about it, if there's life anywhere, I'm technically the 9th best battler in the universe. But anyway, so they have all these different leagues and stuff, and so they will give you a contract, and they'll come up to me like, "Hey, Loso, we want you." Sometimes it'll be within my particular league, and obviously these guys are on my level as well. But it may be another smaller league out in Indiana who. They just want to give one of their guys a shot, and they'll send me a contract and an offer. They're like, Loso, we want you to battle Chris Gates for 3 rounds, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And are you interested in, if I have time, if I'm interested, I'll go ahead and I'll accept the battle. And then for about a month, or maybe even shorter times, maybe 2 weeks, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, or maybe even more, that's your prep time. And so I am watching your battles. I'm watching what you do good. I'm watching what you don't do good. I am taking, for me particularly, I try to use whatever your worldview or whatever you stand on, and I just take what you say. And so I try to just flip it back on you. And that is kind of how I formulate my 3 rounds. Each round is almost like a paper in and of itself. There's a thesis to each round. There's a point that I want you to leave with. And then obviously in the midst of it, I want to entertain the crowd. So entertainment and education are the two things that I try to make sure that I do well within my rounds. And so a lot of times, it goes very well. Sometimes, some of the, fans may not necessarily be too wowed at what I do. But overall, I have great relationships with at least 90 to 95% of my opponents. And I tell people, I said, and even though, you can find a lot of battles on YouTube right now, for the last 2 years, they've actually transitioned from YouTube. So I probably have about 14 to 15 battles that are not on YouTube, that are on an app, because they're doing subscription based now.
Yeah, they're bringing it in house. So, I like that.
Yep. And so, which is a great business move for them. And so that's where a lot of my material is at now. But
I noticed that in the videos that I were watching, and the thing with, I don't know if there's different leagues or whatever. I mean, first of all, the fact that there's actual official leagues is just a new information for me.
Yeah.
And the popular access or interaction that most people have with the idea of battle rapping, like we've mentioned before, 8 Mile, Wild and Out, or whatever, very short form. The rounds go back and forth like 1 minute or something. But some of the videos I was watching that featured you were, long form competitions.
Yeah.
I mean, you go for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes at a time, just straight off the dome, just forever, which I thought was really impressive. And at the end of these, I'm, much like you see with, I don't know, some MMA fights or other competitions, during the competition, it's pretty aggressive. There's, it's an actual battle, and it can get, of course, sort of personally, attacking your opponent is part of the game. But afterwards, you guys are like cool. You're like hugging and just chatting, and
it's like wrestling. It's like the WWE.
It's really
we're co-workers. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And so now, granted, I wish I can say that that's the case all the time. Unfortunately, there are people who, they get upset at something that's been said, and now it becomes a real issue. But for the most part, when we sign our contracts, you cannot touch your opponent. You know what I'm saying? Like no physicality, no serious physicality can be taking place.
Which may seem like an obvious point to some people, but is not necessarily an obvious point.
No.
Like you can
And
get
if
a
you
little
do, and if you do, you know,
close
you
up.
don't get your second half, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, you know, this, like I said, this is their livelihood for a lot of people, so they want to mess that up. And so, like you said, like a lot of people when they think about like, oh man, there's leagues and there's like structure, that doesn't necessarily coincide with their understanding of battle rap. However, with me, I'm part of the biggest battle rap league and probably the most professional one. And so, I mean, like if you were to walk on a set where I'm at, I mean, it's like a Hollywood set. It's like a Hollywood set where we're at.
Yeah.
And sometimes now, granted, now where like Chris was at, that's even, you know, it's ran pretty, you know, I guess fairly well, but you know, that's just somebody, we got a couple cameramen there, and you know, for the rest of the part, you know, everybody's just walking in. But it's definitely elevated throughout the years, and it's going to continue to elevate. You know, I mean, there's talks about Netflix getting involved, and there's talks about you know, Twitch has already got involved with another company and Red Bull, and so they know that. You know, to the average person, average human being, when I'm walking down the street, if you just ask somebody, it's like, hey, so what did you think of Loso's last battle? They're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? But if you find the right group of people, though, there are hundreds and thousands of people all around the world that they're just invested into this. This is, and I tell people, like, we just had Drake at our last event. You know, I'm literally backstage with Drake. And you know, who's the biggest artist in the world. And so for me, you know, I try to keep things in perspective, but it's a dope situation, you know, and you don't really see this. And so I tell people we are entertainment's entertainment. So Kevin Durant and Drake, and when you see these guys pull up to events or they're online and talking about it, you get to see like, yo, when they're not doing what they do, where do they find entertainment from? Like, what exactly do they want to turn on? And they watch battle rap, and a lot of these guys watch battle rap. And so the overall, you know, that's prior to me getting involved, that's when we fell in love with the culture. And even as I'm still, you know, walking through it, this is kind of, you know, like an everyday thing for me. So yeah. I love it, man.
You know, while we're on the topic of the culture, you mentioned at the beginning of the show, you mentioned redeeming culture as like a concept. Yeah. You know, and I find it interesting because there are segments of the church, especially at least in my experience, the American sort of evangelical church, where there's a real contention between participating in culture or separating from culture. And it can be as granular as, you know, watching movies,
the halftime show,
sure, the halftime show, yeah. But and you know, it's a wide range. I mean, when I say culture, it's really you could make that as granular as you want, but you know, everything from should Christians watch the halftime show? Should Christians go to non-Christian concerts? Should, you know, this sort of thing. And it's really sort of it's almost like an eternal struggle within the church to decide how much are we participating, how much are we not participating. Is there, you know, is being in a culture, is there a bigger danger of being corrupted by the culture, or is the culture in danger of being redeemed, you know, by the presence of, you know, a Christian or whatever label you want to put on that. So let's chat a little bit about that, because like we've heard now, it is not a Christian event. It is not necessarily a Christian culture. Of course, I'm sure there's plenty of Christians in there, but it does not sound like there's a lot of Christian competitors, or at least that sort of wear that on their sleeve. Why don't you pontificate about that for a while?
Yeah, definitely. So, first, when I tell people, like, when you're watching on YouTube, understand, like, you are getting the tip of the iceberg. Like, don't define my ministry based off of that 30-minute video. You may get some, you may get some truths, and you may see some seeds being planted or whatnot. But the real ministry, the real work is when I get off the stage and we exchange phone numbers, and now I'm able to walk with these guys and do life with them. I mean, I'm talking about some of these guys getting shot, and I'm the first one that they call. Some of these guys are in jail, and By God's grace, I'm able to bail them out. And so, I want to love them not just with my words and my time, but also with my wallet. I'm taking them out to eat. And we're having conversations about, man, who do you say that Jesus is? Who do they say that I am? And so, giving them that question, and so and able to kind of walk with them through that, because prior to getting into battle rap, I was never confronted with this main ideology that is running rampant in battle rap, which is that Christianity is the white man's religion. I had never been confronted with that. And so, for these guys, brown and black guys, they were coming up to me and seeing this brown guy, right, this Puerto Rican guy, and it's like, man, why do you serve a Jesus, serve a religion that has so much white slave owners from Europe, and they were using the scriptures to enslave all these people. And so, I try to make sure that when I'm answering questions like that, I always start off with, look, I understand. And you're right. This did happen. And such did own slaves, or such did manipulate the scriptures. But if there's manipulation being had, that means there has to be a correct interpretation of it. And let's deal with that. And we're starting too late in history. How about we start a little earlier? Let's talk about this brown-skinned Middle Eastern Jew by the name of Jesus, who came and transformed the world. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we start here? And so, when we start unpacking that, and if you feel impressed, people in battle rap, if you feel oppressed or whatnot, let me go ahead and tell you who is for the oppressed, who is literally here to go ahead and wipe away every tear and has solved the problem of evil 2,000 years ago on the cross. And so when I'm able to dialogue like that apart from the battle rap stage, unfortunately, I know that my fellow Christians don't always see that on YouTube. And so that's why I do get messages sometimes like, Los, you should not be in there, or how can you be in, or you're a hypocrite, yada, yada, yada. And so I wish I could tell you that the body is fully supported, but that's not the case. Yeah. I do get some pushback from that, which is odd, because on the other side, I get Christians telling me, hey, you're not Christian enough. And then I get, the battle rappers like, oh, you're preaching too much. And it's like, it's like, yo, I don't know where to win. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of you guys. And so I look at that, and I don't want to look at these people as like projects to go ahead and fix up and then bring them to church and then show you and Chris like, hey, look what I've been doing on the weekends. You know what I'm saying?
Use it as like a justification for your participation.
But what it is that these are real people, man, dealing with real issues just like you and I. They wake up every day, and the only thing separating us from them is grace. But grace is being offered, and so I want them to know that. And so that was not my original motivation to go into battle rap. I wish it was, but my original, it was just, hey, I just want to see if I could do it. It was like a bucket list thing. But seeing the ripple effect of what I was doing in that culture, it taught me like, man, I can't just stop now. I can't just go ahead and pull out. And obviously, whenever I do finish battle rapping, that'll be fine. But there's just been great conversations, great relationships I've been able to build from there. And so back to the premise, I do think that Christians should be infiltrating all aspects of life, right? I mean, I'm talking about politics, I'm talking about education, I'm talking about Hollywood, whatever it is. I think that we should have Christians infiltrating all of those things. And that doesn't necessarily mean, standing on top of crates with a bullhorn and just screaming from the top of your lungs, repent, for the kingdom of God is hand. If that's what you want to do, hey, by all means, go ahead and do it. But what I'm saying is you can be in those specific arenas and live in such a way that will give you opportunities to go ahead and communicate with others, and you can go ahead and make an impact there, and just glorifying God, doing whatever you do to the best of your ability. And obviously pointing back to, why you do what you do. And so I do think that there's an aspect as well too, where I do tell people to be cautious. Like Chris said, most of these places, I mean, I've battled at clubs, I've battled at houses where drugs were being sold from, or I battled all over the place, and I don't ever just go in there blindly and just say like, oh yeah, I'm good to go. I try to make sure that I am with some fellow brothers, or If not, I mean, I have something set up.
You at least got to
where,
have your head on a swivel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but also this goes back to, I never, I always need to make sure that I'm not like this isolated Christian that is just like maneuvering on my own, right? Like, for me, I always wanted to make sure that there was somebody that people can go to and speak to and say like, hey, you may want to check up on Loso. Like, there should be a guy in my life that you guys should be able to talk to if I had done something, that was out of step with who I am. And so that means Monday through Friday, I'm doing life with people in my community, and Sunday, I'm serving in church. And so that Saturday, when I go out of town and I'm battling, that is not just me just doing it on my own. That is an outflow of what's already been going on in my life, Sunday through Friday. And so I want to make sure that that's always what's helping me. I know I put a lot of preparation into my battles. I mean, I'm up all night trying to memorize, and I'm up all night trying to create. But I always try to remind myself, man, my lack of prayer should probably scare me more than my lack of preparation. If I get up there, and it's all me, that's when I should get nervous. So overall, man, yeah, anybody looking to get into this culture, I try to make sure that they link arms with my guys and myself, and so we could just kind of be a guide to them that we didn't have necessarily when we started.
And I think that applies, when just sort of across the board. It's just sort of as a general, idea for Christians who maybe don't live in sort of a secluded Christian community up in the forest where they don't have to make the choice between, going to a Christian event or a non-Christian event. For better or for worse, most of us are living in cities with tons of other people and cultures and things going on. And yeah, like you said, the isolation. There's the isolated Christian type of thing. I mean, not going to say that there's no benefit to that. Definitely sounds like it would remove all sorts of opportunities where you would have to, practice your faith and willpower around other people. But there's that concept of presence. I mean, simply just being present in a place, no matter who you are, what faith or lack of faith or whatever, every human being's presence in a place adds or subtracts sometimes something to that atmosphere. Just sort of in general, somebody's very presence in a place changes the equation of what's going on. And so this is my question to myself, and I guess a question I'd recommend Christians ask themselves, which is, why would I remove myself to the equation? Or why would I not add myself to an equation that could probably benefit from just me being there as a Christian, whether that's in some sort of spiritual, metaphysical effect that a Christian can have being in a place, or just opening up the opportunity to be a Christian in a place like that. So I think that concept of presence wherever we are, hopefully if we go into it thinking, I'm going to be a positive presence and help out this equation and not let the equation change me to a degree that I wouldn't want, or Jesus wouldn't prefer. But yeah, that's cool, man. I think that's something that's applicable across the board.
Yeah, it's funny that there's even really a discussion about it. It's just so funny that people would, if they actually took a step back, saw like what you're doing, Loso, and even other people, to say that you should separate yourself from the world. I mean, we're to be in and not of the world, and it is I think extremely commendable what you're doing. I don't know if you ever have any kind of nerves about putting your faith on display in front of a group of people that might be potentially, adversarial to you. But it got me to thinking about. I thought about Rocky IV to begin with, but I guess it also happens in 8 Mile, where to start off like. You're kind of like the underdog, kind of the outsider, maybe in somebody else's hometown or something like that. Have you ever had an occasion where you have been in one of these places and kind of bringing in, the gospel, the light, and seen a crowd turn from being kind of unfavorable towards you, where by the end of the, 30, 45-minute battle, they're actually kind of like coming to your side? Have you ever seen kind of winning converts in a sense to make that kind of comparison there?
Yeah. I can't say that like winning converse in the sense of like when I'm done rapping my third round, like knees just hit the floor and tongues confess.
Right. That would be the movie version.
That would definitely be the music. But I mean, bro, I mean, so this is really what you end up finding is that there's a lot of people in those settings that are already similar to when the book of Acts talk about Paul, like he was already, or Saul, he was kicking against the goads, like the Holy Spirit was already sort of tugging at his heart. And so there's people like that I meet all the time that they won't necessarily communicate that outwardly, but they'll pull me aside at the event. Hey, can you pray for me? Or hey man, I just want to say what you said up there touched me. Or hey, I respect what you're doing. My mom has been praying for me. Or my dad is a pastor. Or I grew up in the church, like stuff like that, where they just need to see somebody who is unashamed to sort of spark, like, or reignite some sort of light that was already dimming in them. And I get that a lot. I definitely get that a lot. I get, and obviously, apart from, spiritual side or whatnot, there's people who don't want to hear what I have to say just because they just know that I'm a Christian. But as soon as the one thing about this culture, they applaud excellence. So if you do whatever you do at the highest form, right? I mean, obviously, that's like Curry. No matter how much he loves Jesus, I mean, an atheist is gonna admit, man, he's just the greatest shooter of all time. And so, same thing with battle rap. There's people who come up to you like, look, bro, I don't believe in God, but I just want to say, man, you are amazing, and that's dope too. But I do get those people at the events who pull me aside and they have conversations with me about their walk, their faith, and that right there, I mean, that speaks volumes.
Yeah. I think it's incredible, the ministry that you have, and I know that you consider it as such, and I hope that people, who would be out there looking at it would also see that it is a ministry. I mean, you're a missionary in a lot of senses, but I was kind of, as I have watched you, in the past, and even just kind of in watching some more videos here, getting ready to talk to you today, I wonder how you square, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but how do you square the fact that you are a Christian, you're supposed to be kind of sharing the love of God with people, but on the same hand, you're kind of like going after them? Like, do you have any kind of, how do you kind of reason that? Because I mean, sometimes some of the things you're saying, if it wasn't sport, and like you said, you guys are kind of feeding off of each other, but I mean, you're insulting people. I mean, to a certain extent. So
I have to remind myself that there has to be, so because I'm in the sport, right? Like there's a common goal, right? Like I still have to, like, as much as I want to only say biblical things, there's an aspect to the sport where I do have to, I guess, try to win. You know what I'm saying? Because I am in this, right? Like, I mean, and I give this to any sport. If I'm a basketball player and you're guarding me, I don't
give a little elbow.
Right, I don't want to humiliate you in front of the fans. Like, that's not my goal. But I have to cross over. Now, if you fall and in front of all the crowd, you know what I'm saying, and they're laughing and stuff like that, that's just a byproduct. That's just collateral damage because I'm trying to put the ball in the hoop. I'm sorry if I dunk on you and now everyone's posting on you, know what I'm saying? Or if we're boxing, just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I have to hit you with less force than an atheist would. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I unfortunately I have to knock you out, or I have to block your punches and stuff. So in battle rap, there are things though that I don't talk about, and I won't say any sexual innuendos. I won't go ahead and disrespect any dead. And when I'm saying I wouldn't do this, is because there are people who do this all the time. Yeah. And this is why they get viral and go stuff like that. So that's kind of how I kind of look at it. At first, before I started battle rapping, that was a conversation that I was having with myself and some guys around me. But at the same time, I just think that because it is a sport and there is something there's a goal at the end of the sport. Like, I mean, at the end of the 3 rounds, people are judging it based off of, okay, did you break this person down in a way? But I always try to make sure whatever angle I'm using, there's a bigger picture with that. There's something to be taken away there. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Now, have you ever kind of made this in your head or in your heart or mind, like compared this to any kind of like spiritual warfare? I mean, you say you study your enemies, your opponents rather. In the spiritual, we could call it the enemy, but you study your opponents. Yeah. You're looking at their past moves, their tactics, those sorts of things. Do you ever apply that in the spiritual, and kind of address, the battle that's going on there? Do you ever think about it in those terms?
Man, you know what? Not as you were saying. No, I haven't. I have not really correlated the two, but that is a great correlation. I mean, both and. I mean, I'm fully aware of what is going on spiritually, and I understand, especially when you're just around sort of the culture as much as I am. You tend to stand back and say, man, there's some dark stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? And these people are really going through some tough situations here. So, but then I also apply that to my own battle, right? Like my own inward fight, and understand my power my battle isn't against flesh and blood, right? Like, so, yeah. I did not do that. I did not think about that before, but that is a great correlation, man.
Bro, what if you wrote a battle rap against the devil?
Oh, yeah.
Then you could write one actually as the devil. We could do like a Carmen video.
I was just about to tell you that. I was just about to bring up Carmen. I was like, yo, who did it already? I forgot about that.
No, but we need the battle rap version. Yeah, bro, you should make this happen. I'm talking to people.
Was he not battling? Was Carmen not doing that?
It was kind of, if you're talking about...
Carmen was a huge rap battler. He was
incredible. He was not a rap battler. He was not.
You must have missed his rap battle phase.
Yeah,
early 2000s. He had enough of classic Carmen and tried to...
Are you serious?
No.
Oh. You had me going for a second. No, we need to make this happen, Los. I'm serious. I'm going to talk to some people I know that people that make. Let's do this. I'm not letting this go. This is
talking to some people Aaron White.
Going.
Yeah. And Chris down at Servant, bro. We can get something together, bro. We'll make it happen. I'm onto something. I think this is going to be the next big thing.
You're onto something, Chris. I'm glad that you are taking on this mission. I will love to see you activate and make this happen. This will be a Ravel original.
Yes, our first feature,
our first
presentation,
and not last rap battle video. Cool. Okay, so let's see. We talked about some culture. We talked about some spiritual implications there. Are there now? You have your kind of crew. Are there? Is there anybody else who's like explicitly Christian, sort of on the circuit in the league or anything? That if people are interested, we should check out.
Yeah, there's 3 other guys. The Saga, who is he's probably the first one. He was the first one to actually be on a major platform. And when I say first one, I mean obviously there must have been other battlers who were Christian. But when I say first one, I'm talking about like this. Like where his career was defined because of his
thing.
faith.
Yeah.
And so the Saga, TH3 Saga, he's from New York. My buddy A Ward, he's from Kansas City. And then my friend Street Hymns, who is from Dallas, Texas. So all 4 of us We have a group called the Four Horsemen, and so but we are all over. So I'm out in Florida, like I said, one's in Kansas City, Midwest, New York, Upper East Coast, and then obviously you have Dallas. Who thinks they're the center of the universe? So all four of us. But those are those three guys, and there's other ones as well who are I would say like trying to get up as well. But those us four.
Okay. So
we're
there's a
moving around
variety
right now.
there if people are looking to get into it. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe the creativity of it, and it doesn't need to be specifically hip hop related, but of course that's what we're talking about here. But just in general, the creativity of it. You mentioned metaphors. Chris mentioned double, triple, and quadruple entendres. That's something that's very special. The fun thing about me, Loso, is I am pretty much the least cultured person that I know at least, and not to be too specific about it, but very, very white upbringing, and this is just the whitest thing you could imagine. My favorite, I recently had to reveal like my childhood favorite foods on a podcast, and I'll never hear the end of it because my childhood favorite food was saltine crackers and milk. So if that says anything about what we're talking about here. But that being said, when I was in high school, sort of like freestyle rap and not so much battle rap, but kind of freestyling was sort of a passive pastime in sort of my group of friends. And, it really did give me an appreciation for the abstractions and the creativities and the wordplay and the this and the that and just everything that goes into it. For those who might not have had experience or interaction with that culture or that art form, there's so much there. One line can have a couple different meanings, all connected, but layers of depth to the creativity and the imagination can really communicate things more than straightforward dictation. And it's also one of the things I love talking to artists about, because it's kind of like, if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. Specifically with metaphors and stuff like that, you're able to communicate deeper than just the words that you're saying. And I've found, in my experience in the church and with other Christians, a lot of times, I don't know if it's sort of a willing ignorance or it is maybe too quick of a trigger finger or something. Sometimes if something is too artful or metaphorical, there are those within the Christian community who don't get the metaphor and strictly take some sort of literal meaning, which usually will end up with them calling something not Christian or of the enemy, or just not get it.
These are like the parables of Jesus.
Well, it's sort of like the parables. You'd think they would be primed to understand, deeper meanings. But what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I could ask you questions, but I'd rather hear, what your soul has to say about the actual artistic practice that goes into it.
Yeah, man. And like I said, that sort of drew me to battle rap prior to me even being a Christian. It was just like, I was looking at it, I was like, man, this is just like high art for me.
It's expansive.
Yeah. And so, so the average listener, right? I don't expect them to get everything that's going on. It'll be similar to I remember growing up. I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and I
Nice.
remember watching Dragon Ball Z, and there were certain scenes where the villains and the heroes, they were fighting in the air, and you would get the view sometimes from the humans on the floor, and it would just look like flashes just in the sky, obviously until it would pan up into the show, and then you've seen, okay, Goku's fighting this guy, whatnot. But for the humans on the ground, they were just seeing these flashes, and that's what I kind of communicate to some people. Like, the average human being, if you just turn on a rap battle, it's you're asking them to watch two Super Saiyans fight at full speed
From like a mile away.
They're not understanding. They're just seeing somebody scream in front of somebody else's face, but there's this special. So like you said, right, the entendres, but it's not just the entendres. Sometimes there's alliteration. Sometimes, and you need to know storylines between these two guys, because these aren't just random two guys that are battling, but they may have
There's
had
a lot of context there.
Yeah. So they may be talking about certain issues where you need certain backstories for, and because there's certain backstories, now they're utilizing other information to make punchlines out of, and these haymakers, and now in battle rap, there's these, some people even have what you would call a special move. When they say a slogan, everyone in the room is saying it with them, and it kind of builds momentum. And so, there's guys up there, there's art form with guys who are just really, really good writers. There's guys who are really, really good performers, where they may not be as good writers, but they can perform the heck out of certain material. And so, but I kind of draw it back to any sport, right? Like, I'm not watching Stephen Curry and expecting him to do the things that LeBron James does. I know that they're both great players right now, but I have to appreciate what they do differently and what they both bring to the game. And that's the same thing like battle rappers. There's guys who they use their stature, and there's guys who may use their vocal projection. There's guys who may use their writing ability. There's guys who use their performance ability. And so for me, I'm obviously, with my worldview, I get to look at all of those guys though and give God glory, right? Like, I'm like, man, if only you knew why you're even able to do what you're doing. This is this is just amazing. And if I'm amazed at you, I have to be in awe at the creator of who's giving you this talent. And so, but you're right. I think that just the time and the prep. I mean, granted, you're watching a video on YouTube, and it's probably taking about maybe 30 minutes, right? Because each round, the average round is about 3:30 to 4 minutes each round, and that's without crowd reaction. So you're writing. So you're basically asking one particular battler to write about at least 15 minutes of material, and overall over the span of 3 rounds, and he's memorizing all of this. Not only does he have to memorize this, but he has to perform this in front of his opponent, who's probably heckling him, who his entourage is probably heckling him. Then he has to do this in front of a big crowd. The biggest crowd I've been able to perform in front of was 2,500 people in Houston, Texas. And that was, when the crowd is going crazy, it feels like the room is shaking. And so for me, when I'm taking all those things into consideration, I'm like, man, you have to be like in another, like, you almost have to be zoned out just to complete the task at hand.
Right.
And then, granted, you're only seeing 15 minutes of rapping material, but this probably took a month, man. And when I say a month, I'm talking about sleepless nights, early mornings. Sometimes I look like a madman. I tell people, I'm like, look, if you ever see me walking down the street just talking to myself, don't worry. I just have a battle coming up. It's nothing that's going, it's nothing mental. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I just have an important battle coming up, and I just need to practice these rounds. And so, thank God I have a backyard now, so I can just stay behind my backyard with the fence up. But that's just the prep that goes in it. And for somebody who does it, for me, I can really appreciate when other guys are doing it at a high level. And so my hope is that obviously other people who are watching, they sort of they feel the same way when they're watching it. They understand that they're seeing something that's like, wow, like, we know this is rap, and rap may not be my thing, but I can appreciate greatness just like you. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you guys watch the Olympics, we're just in awe of Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt, guys who are just doing what they're doing at a crazy, crazy level. So
yeah. Do you find that most people from within the church who might have something to say about you in this culture, they're usually probably people who have no idea about it? Is that the case? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, unfortunately though, there was even, I remember a couple years ago there was a group who just deemed, I mean, their whole thing is just hip hop. It's just evil. I mean, it's just like
yeah,
its origin is evil, and therefore you can't. There's no good that can come from it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, but just that methodology, that understanding is just flawed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, if that's the case, stop watching soccer and playing soccer. You know what I'm saying? Because the origin of soccer is, them cutting their enemies' heads and kicking it around the Coliseum. That's how soccer was originated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or if you just want to talk about someone whose origin is evil, I mean, we were all born into sin. You know what I'm saying? And yet, there's the Lord redeems and saves. And so
same with rock and roll and all sorts
rock
of
and
stuff
roll,
like
right?
that. Yeah.
And I know hip hop gets a bad rep, obviously, because of what's popular and stuff, but that goes everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's with everything. And so unfortunately, it depends on how somebody communicates that to me. If I see that they're truly genuinely concerned, or they just want to know, I have no problem dialoguing with them and working through whatever misconceptions they have. But sometimes, when people just want to make these dogmatic statements, you shouldn't be there. I'm like, all right, God bless.
Yeah,
don't really have time, at this point. But I think that they don't understand the culture. They don't want to. But I tell people this is my main thing. I am all for you not having to click play on my battles. That's totally fine. Or you don't have to donate to my ministry. You don't have to do anything. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But to say that you're against what I'm doing, that's where it becomes problematic. You don't have to go down the well with me, but can you at least hold the rope while I'm down there? Yeah. I'm not asking you to come to the events. I'm not asking you to befriend some of these guys. I'm not asking you to do none of that. But if you're just home, can you just pray for me? Can you just say, like, me, you know what? I don't understand that type of ministry that's going on. Or I don't understand what he's doing necessarily, but from afar, Lord, I'm praying for him, and I do consider him a brother in the Lord.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
If only we had more of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that puts into words kind of a lot of what we've been trying to get at with the show quite a bit. I mean, we get in trouble on this show all the time for talking to people who, may not be somebody's cup of tea, or sometimes they're sort of explicitly heretics within the Christian community. I mean, we just had a episode a while back with Jay Baker, who is the related to what's their name, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, who was a big scandal in the 80s or early 90s or something, and he has had quite a journey with his faith and everything, and part of after we got past all the heresies, which are always fun, it was more just like, hey, the church as a whole, the Christian community as a whole, did not handle itself very well in response to, something that was uncomfortable for them, or they didn't know about, or whatever. And so, it's an ongoing conversation, and oftentimes just having that conversation gets us in trouble. But so we feel that. We feel what you're talking about there. You don't have to listen to the episode with the person you don't like, but don't pray against us or something weird like that. Just, we're trying to do our best for the Lord here. It reminded me of a story. When I went to a Christian college, and I had this great professor, black guy. We had got along really well. We did stuff together. We put on events all the time for the student body. And I had another friend who was in a Christian crump group. And for those who don't know, crumping is a style of dance. It's very aggressive, very again, if you don't know what you're looking at, you could easily just be like, I don't think that's something Jesus likes. But they very on fire dudes who would perform. And I was like, hey, man, let's bring in this Crump group that I know. Let's, let's spice it up in here. And even he was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if people can handle it. I don't know if people will get it. I don't know. It's a little much. I'm like, I mean, I like it, and I'm cool. Like, let's do it. It ended up not happening, but I always wondered, like, he was really affected by the idea of bringing a Crump group in, even if they were, explicitly a Christian group. Chris.
I'm Googling crumping.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, this is usually when Chris has something to say, but.
Well, I was wondering about, Basil had asked about the creative process, and I always think about this when I'm thinking about what you do, and I was thinking about it a lot this week in anticipation, knowing that we were going to be talking with you, that you have all of these different, we were talking about the metaphors and the double entendre, but for me that's one of the most fascinating kind of elements of what you're doing. And I just wonder, is your brain always on? Are you always looking at something and thinking, how can I look at that word 2 different ways or 3 different ways? And then again, to kind of draw a correlation to the spiritual, I find myself doing that because as a preacher and a teacher, I'm always needing illustrations, for sermons and things like that. Yeah. And it's kind of like a parable, like, oh, how is that tree like God's mercy or forgiveness or something like that? Yeah. And then in the same way, I'm just wondering, what's it like a day in your life looking around, or you see signs, you see cars, you see whatever.
Man, that's definitely what it is. I mean, it's not overkill where I'm unpleasant to be around, but in my mind though, so for instance, one of the opponents I was battling in St. Louis, his name is KD, right? KD, and obviously the low hanging fruit there. You think of Kevin Durant, right? He's probably the most popular other KD. So if I'm communicating anything to my opponent KD, probably be something in reference to him. But depending on how you enunciate it, right? KD, it also comes off as Katie, like a female name. And my wife and I, we are binge watching Dawson Creek, which Katie Holmes is a part of. And so I'm watching that, and something as simple as throughout the show, I don't know if you guys remember Dawson Creek, but she's climbing up a ladder. And so so that's such a popular scene in pop culture and whatnot. So when I'm communicating to him, I'm communicating something about, Katie, climbing, having to climb the ladder, whatever it is, the ladder of battle rap or something. And I'm trying to paint this scene or this narrative or something, or Katie Holmes, that's her whole name, and I can do something where he's living at, right? Katie Holmes is such and such, like Dawson Creek. And so my mind, whatever I'm watching, I try to make sure, if it's popular enough, I don't want to just do stuff that only I know, but something that's popular. So, I'm watching whether, Marvel movies or popular Netflix stuff or sports related. Patrick Mahomes, he's very, popular or something like that. And so I want to make sure that I take these things, but I use them in unique ways. If it comes to my mind very, very quickly, the odds are that it came to another battle rapper's mind very, very quickly. And so whatever's low-hanging fruit, I try to make sure that I just throw out, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to go and use because I'm pretty sure it's been said before. So try to just
that's one of the where you get a real response from the audience is when they think you set something up, they think you're going to go in one direction, but then you take it completely another way, and then everybody's just jaws drops, and you get all the O's and people falling over and all of that stuff.
Exactly. I was battling a guy named Bad News, and I was setting it up as if I was trying to harm him. Something along the lines of I think I was communicating I'll put his body over here. Oh, I'll put his legs over here. But the concept was, see, you guys thought I was sinning, but I'm actually a Christian. The Bible tells me to spread the news. And so the concept, what I was really was doing, you see what I'm saying? So while it was happening, people thought I was just mutilating him and putting his legs over here. But there was a bigger thing that I was like, no, as a Christian, I'm supposed to spread the news. And so they lost their minds when I just, hammered the punchline. And so something like that, you're communicating one thing, and obviously when you're done, the crowd is like, you're unveiling it. You're like, oh, here goes the punchline. So it's like the Old Testament, and then the New Testament is kind of just like revealing, like, oh, that's what Leviticus is about. Got it.
Wow, what a great connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do
I was gonna say,
we do a couple, like a little speed round right here, right now? Are you ready? Like, can we put you on the spot?
Go ahead. Let's
Can
try.
we just
Let's
give you
see
a
if I
couple, give me a couple words? I don't know, Basil. Think of one. First one that came to my mind was
man. You're in there.
dashboard.
Dashboard. So if I was to come up with something, the first thing that comes to my mind with dashboard, I don't know about your dashboards, but like my dashboards have like a crack. Like it always cracks because of the sun. So I would probably communicate something along like, when the sun comes back, Jesus, right? When the sun rises, or when the sun, he's going to crack the sky like he does your dashboard. Or the sky will crack like how the sun, the sun will crack. Yeah, something along the lines like the sun will crack the sky like it does your dashboard, or something like that. So that'll be one of the first things that come to mind. Yeah.
It's
And
kind
this is
of
all
like,
rough. This is all rough draft right now because I'm not able to work
Do a
with
little
it. But
brainstorm.
this is how my mind thinks. I'm trying to think. Okay, double entendre with sun, or dashboard could have been something else. But yeah.
Oh, confessional, bro. I just thought of it. You could work that in too. Boom. I need to sign me up, bro.
Uh-oh.
Send me your notes. I'll help
Here
you.
we go. He's
Exactly,
getting
exactly.
started again. Yeah, it's interesting how similar the the process or the system that you're describing is to like comedy, like writing a joke almost.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't always have to be funny, but that there is a punchline, and there is sort of an A to C instead of an A to B type of feel to it, which, I mean, I want to go back to like what you just said, talking about the Bible. I mean, when you look at the Bible as a whole, again, people like to separate the Old Testament and the New Testament. There certainly are differences and separations in many different ways. But there's also, it's almost like the Old Testament is a setup for the punchline of the New Testament.
Come on.
And they're always referring back to one another. The Old Testament refers forward, the New Testament refers backwards. And much like a joke or a rap lyric, if you don't know the reference, you don't get the joke.
Come on.
And that's, when we explore the words of Jesus and a lot of the teachings of Jesus and the writings of Paul and, a lot of the New Testament, there are references to the Old Testament where if you don't know the Old Testament, you don't know exactly the depth and the sort of explosiveness of what like Jesus just dropped.
Exactly. Yeah, and first thing I think of, right, like one of the most popular stories with Abraham and Isaac, right? Like, this father, about to sacrifice his son, and then a ram comes out as this substitute in place of, when Isaac's supposed to die. And it's like, yeah, if you don't continue reading, right? Like you just see that story, you're like, yo, Abraham, what were you doing? But like, no, like it's the punchline is that, yo, there's another father, there's a better father who is going to sacrifice his son, what I'm saying, on behalf of everybody. And then, that ram is actually, taking your place, what I'm saying, like you were supposed to die. There's a double entendre with that. And so you're right, the scriptures are just full of double entendres and metaphorical language, and it's, and when you look at, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I mean, when I first became a Christian, reading the Bible just seemed boring. But when I started understanding, like, oh wait, things are tying together, like these aren't just random pieces of literature, just pieces, like this is like one story, that actually became like this mystery to solve. And you're right, bro, the same passion that I have for when I'm decoding somebody's punchlines is even more so when I'm in the scriptures and I'm trying to piece, okay, what do these prophets say? Oh, this is what Jesus meant? Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, and you bring up the prophets, and that was the other side of what I was going to mention. I was calling it a comedy, like writing a joke or something like that. But, specifically the Old Testament prophets and the prophecies and things like that are setups for a fulfillment in the New Testament. And, not to draw too straight of a line, but it does really change my understanding of the battle rap thing, because it's, it's got that kind of feel to it where you're laying something down in the moment, you're kind of just letting it happen and you don't know what exactly, but boom, the prophecy is fulfilled and the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
It's
I like that.
It's reminding me of, it's really my favorite part of being a preacher and a teacher is that you get to have these moments with either your class or your congregation, all the time. Similar, I'm sure, as you have, Loso, at your shows where, you get to kind of unpack and show these things. And you guys, what we were just talking about there with the Old Testament, New Testament, that's discipline they call intertextuality, where the New Testament authors drawing off of the Old Testament and kind of bringing out the fuller meaning of that text. And that is one of the things that is my favorite to do as you're going, is kind of that story in Abraham that you just brought up, start to finish, that whole thing with Abraham and Isaac, and the way that God even tells him to take your son, your one and only son, and take him up onto a mountain. They go with two other guys and they put the wood on Isaac's back. He's carrying, the instrument of his own death up the mountain. They're gone for 3 days, and the whole thing, it's like, oh my gosh, you're able to look back at that. And when you start unpacking that for people, it's so cool to share that experience, like, with another person, to be able to have those kinds of revelations. And I'm sure that must be part of the thing that keeps you going in your process as well, is having that sort of interaction and kind of vibing with the audience. I don't know if you listen to Joe Rogan much. He's becoming a little controversial here lately, but he just had on Jordan Peterson on his podcast, and they were talking, and I actually remember the minute mark because I sent it to a friend who's a musician and loves Jordan Peterson. But Jordan Peterson, actually somewhere around minute 58 on the most recent episode, if anybody wants to go listen to it, gives this little explication of what music is and what kind of the artistic process that comes all the way from nature, that we observe these patterns all the way in nature that kind of move all of nature, the waves and the wind and the birds and the grass and everything kind of moves in these patterns. And then people start recognizing these patterns, and then people start incorporating those patterns into their music, and then people hear those patterns, and then they start moving their body in the same sorts of patterns to dance, and they start nodding their heads and singing these songs in patterns, and it becomes this sort of harmonious thing where you're actually kind of like coming into relationship with the creation, but then also with the creator. And it really just kind of becomes something that's really supernatural in a lot of ways. So I don't know if you ever experienced that, kind of like in any of your events, or I know that you also preach. I've seen you preach a couple times. I know that you also do, weren't you you were at some, you weren't at Elevation. Was it Elevation? You went to like big church, man, and did that was huge
performance there,
But to have that moment where you're like, and it must be hard, and maybe you can talk about this too, because this is always something that kind of fascinates me, that when you have platforms like that are that big, and you are, a performing artist, and there's always this temptation, I think, for people to look at you, and then as believers, of course, what we always want is for people to be looking at Jesus. We want people to see God through us. So what is that like, being at a church like that? It's huge. I don't know how many people are at Elevation, but I think that's on YouTube. It was a powerful performance, man. That you did there. But how do you keep yourself kind of out of the spotlight when you're actually in the spotlight?
Man, so it's difficult with battle rap, right? Because you almost need to constantly promo and sell every fight. So like you need to you won't get booked unless you are doing some sort of dialogue about yourself. Like that's just how that particular industry is. As far as the performances, like the Elevation, one of the most humbling things with that was they didn't attach my name to anything. So Elevation has a I guess like a rule, and I mean I understand why. So for instance, let's say I do that performance and then next week I get arrested for something crazy. They don't want to necessarily see like, oh well, this guy just linked arms in ministry with these guys. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want to look at it like a cosign. They just it's just contract. They see what you do and they want to contract you for certain things. But that was something. That was really that was probably the best performance I was ever a part of, and it was definitely the most money I was ever next to on stage. Like, I mean, the lights, like, I mean, it felt, that was probably the closest I would ever get to maybe like a Grammy performance, what Elevation was doing back there. It was that high, it was like that professional. But I guess what reminds me is like, well, I mean, like, man, like, it's God who elevates, it's God who calls. I mean, I got that particular contract to do that, but I think I did maybe like 3 more with them, but I haven't been called with Elevation since then. And so just knowing that, bro, you're easily replaceable. It's not you. There's been people who have been impacted by that particular opener, that's what they call it, that particular opener, that have no clue who I am, and that's totally fine, and I have to be okay with that, and I am okay with that, because it's I'm not creating that content so that the glory can come to me. And so I think it's just a battle, but I trust God that he does it a lot, where he just puts me in certain positions where he reminds me like, yeah, bro, you're not as great as you are, you know what I'm saying? So I come back home and my wife tells me to take the trash out and wash the dishes. After a performance like that, come on, babe, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I still have to go ahead and do like the little thing, you know what I'm saying? I still have to go ahead and lead small group and stuff like that. So I just need to make sure that I'm serving the people that are around me, that are the closest to me. I have to make sure that I'm there, because, I mean, yeah, that looked great online. It was, I think they probably reach, I mean, the amount of people that Elevation reaches, I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, because they're doing online and stuff, and it was multiple services, but yeah, it can easily get to my head, and I would be lying to say that it doesn't, even after a battle, even after a great song that has done well on Apple Music or Spotify, or a performance like that. So it just takes, people around you to kind of keep things in perspective, and hopefully, the Lord will continue to use you to do great things. But, understand that great isn't defined by a number. It's just about faithfulness, just being called to do whatever you do. So I have to just remember, I was just as great on that Elevation stage as I was in my small group when only 3 guys showed up.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, that's incredible. Sounds so fun. Chris, could be your new life, man.
Yeah.
I need to get back into it. I need to get back into the game, man.
Yeah, you have so much time on your hands now, so much extra time, and especially with the baby coming, even more extra time on the way, dude.
Yeah, Los, we're gonna have to get our kids together when you get one, man.
Yeah, no.
Start them young.
I wanna try another spontaneous creative moment. I'm just looking around my office right now.
Should we have a battle? Do you want to battle, Chris?
Oh no!
Battle Loso.
I feel like he's just like challenging me.
Yeah, he's trying to bait
I
you.
can't-
He's trying to bait
I
you
can't
into
call
a
out the champ.
competition.
That would be suicide.
How are you gonna learn, Chris? You gotta learn, bro.
Well, not live on the air. I'm not going to. No way about that.
Okay. Well, looks like somebody's got to step up. So bring it, bro. Maybe Chris. Maybe
How about
you and me and Loso can judge it, and he can destroy us both in his. Scathing review.
I was wondering if you couldn't like give us a little, tear us down in a little.
Dang, I should have been writing a rap this week.
Writing some bars.
Yeah. I could have totally smashed you, Chris.
Do you have a battle coming up right now? I mean, are you working on one
I don't.
right now?
Yeah, no. So I'm actually what I am working on. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. There was a Christian poetry tour called Poets in Autumn.
No.
Jackie Hill Perry was probably like the most popular one on there, but real big tour. I mean, they go all over the country, and it's like spoken word. And so the people who were doing it, the 5 poets who were doing it, they no longer are doing it, and so they were looking for new people. And so myself and actually 2 of the other horsemen, A Ward and Street Hymns, they're part of it, and then 3 other poets. So I will be going on tour for 10 weeks from August to October. From September. Yeah, August to October, in span of 10 weeks, all over the country. And so I've been working on poems for that specific pieces. We have a mental health one. We're going to be doing stuff on relationships and theological concepts or taboo stuff that people have a hard time talking about, whether that's abortion, whether that's politics, whether that's race, whatever it is. And so, but I think it's going to be really great. And so we already shot the promo for it. And so that's where my attention, my focus has been. Also, probably working on some music as well. But
I was going to ask about that.
Battles come up periodically. Like I can literally get off the phone after. I mean, we can finish the podcast now, and somebody might call me. It's like, hey, we got something next month. And so, but yeah, some music is definitely in the works as we are speaking.
Nice. Yeah, because you didn't. I mean, your last album it's been a few years now at this point, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, and I probably wouldn't even do it. I mean, man, I just don't have the time. So I've dropped So my album, you're right. I haven't dropped the album in years, but I've dropped songs yearly, annually.
Yeah, you're getting those features all the time, man.
Oh yeah, features, and then even my own stuff. I just did a song called "Till I'm Home," which was a tribute to my father who passed away when I was 12. But it was the overarching concept. If you watch the song, if you listen to the song, it's actually just the average Christian. They're always going to find a dry season where they feel far away from the Lord. The scriptures say, draw near to him as he draw near to us. So if you feel far away, you don't have to guess who did the moving. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely you. And so that's where, I kind of correlate me not having a father with also me in a season where I kind of felt far away from the Lord as well. So it's Till I'm Home. It's on YouTube. The music video's out. The song's on Spotify and Apple Music. Did really well. So that was last year in the summer. So hopefully looking to drop another song soon.
This is kind of becoming a thing, though, I'm noticing as I'm kind of, loosely paying attention to. It seems like particularly maybe in rap and hip hop, that people are releasing a lot more singles all the time. Like they'll just drop one song at a time instead of doing entire albums. And that's kind of becoming the norm, it seems like. What's going on with that?
I think that's more so on the fans. I don't know. I just think, I feel like today their attention span is not really... Everything is, you gotta think about it. Music is like water, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not paying necessarily for the water because water's free. Like, you get water anywhere. You're paying for this bottle, you know what I'm saying? So, like, they can really get your songs from anywhere. And so you want to make sure that whenever you drop your music, you're dropping more music, because as soon as I drop my single, guess what? There's going to be about 10 artists the next week who are dropping another song, and your song is no longer going to be what's hot anymore. And so I think people are saying, man, you know what? Instead of me dropping an album where I'm putting 12 to 15 of my best songs on there, why don't I go ahead and give these songs their own special release, their own special music video, the attention it needs, so that I can fully capitalize on this song? Because it's going to cost me a lot of money to go ahead and put this song on my album. Well, I might as well go ahead and just capitalize off of it. And so you see that not just with how people are releasing music, but the type of music they're releasing too. Back in the day, songs were going to be about 3 minutes to 30 seconds, 4 minutes, depending on, you have about 3, especially in hip hop, there were 3 verses, they'll have hooks after each verse. But now, you have songs as short as 2 minutes and 15 seconds where it's literally just a verse and a hook. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hit single. People just want to listen to it because they're not going to be listening to a long song anymore. So, I think that's just the attention span of the fans, and artists are reflecting what they kind of want anyway. So
yeah, I'm curious to know before we land the plane here, who you were talking about some of your influences and things earlier, but who are some of those from the past, whether that be secular or Christian guys that maybe you looked up to, and then what are you kind of currently into right now?
Yeah. So, man, growing up, hip hop wise, I would definitely say Jay-Z, Fabulous, in battle rap, Murder Mook and Loaded Lux, these underground legends. Now I would say Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Growing when I first became a Christian, The Truth, Ambassador, Shaolin, those are the guys that I kind of like sort of mirrored my content from. But then it wasn't just hip hop, I mean, I was, oddly enough, there was a phase in which I was huge on like this. I don't know if it was I don't know what type of music. I don't know if it didn't sound like alternative rock. But do you guys remember the Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh yeah, bro.
Okay.
Yes.
So, like, what would you consider them?
Yeah, I mean I think that was alternative. It was
Was it
kind of like that.
alternative?
I think alternative was pretty broad. They were more on the poppy kind of side of it.
Yeah,
But
they were,
yeah,
weren't they? Yeah. So guys like that, you know what I'm saying? And so there were just phases where I
bro,
was like,
you were
turning
into the
up.
Goo Goo Dolls?
Oh,
That's crazy.
so yeah, particular songs, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't know if
I'm
anybody's
not
gonna
judging.
hear this.
I loved them when I was a teenager, man.
So
But,
yeah, so like just but I try to make sure that like I had a wide range of just like interest. So that's why like even when I was listening to Shaolin and stuff, one of the first guys I had heard was obviously DC Talk. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird. As much as I was only hip hop, when I became a Christian, I mean, I fell in love with. I mean, if you just even called yourself a Christian and did Christian music, I mean, I was obviously all of the stuff with Casting Crowns and David Crowder Band, and then Chris Tomlin, who I deemed as like maybe the greatest writer of all time, and then moving forward, I was like, I mean, well, obviously moving back, DC Talk, and then Reliant K, and moving on to 10th Avenue North, like it didn't matter who it was. I mean, even had a couple Stephen Curtis Chapman songs in my
Yes.
my iPod, and so all of those guys sort of just if it wasn't musicality, it was definitely content and just helping me kind of just worship the Lord and stuff. So
yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I remember there was a time I grew up in the church and I kind of got away from the Lord and from the church in my late teens and really started getting into a lot of secular music and didn't really have any care for any kind of Christian music. And then when I kind of came back around in my early 20s and kind of started drawing closer to the Lord, as you were even just talking about, I found myself like really getting into like Sandy Patty and stuff. I mean, like this music that it's like, dude, this is not like from a outside secular kind of worldly perspective. You're listening to it, and yeah, the people might be talented, but there's just some kind of weird cheesiness to it almost. It just felt like. But then at the same time, there's something so true and pure about the way that the Spirit is infused in that. And I was having a hard time. I'm like, I don't understand why I love Sandy Patty so much. And I was talking to this lady from the church, and she said it's the Spirit bearing witness like inside of you. Like that's why you love this music. You're resonating with, you're worshiping God through this, and you can't do that in secular music. And that's one of the reasons I talk to people all the time. And it's like, as believers, I mean, people who are in the world and aren't saved, aren't Christians, they can make some of the best music ever, but if you are a believer, there is an extra level of fellowship, of worship, of experience in the musical process that adds a whole nother dimension to it when that is involved, when the Holy Spirit is involved with the music, that you just can't get from secular music, no matter how good it is.
Well, and there's something about music in general. It's like every piece of music has some sort of worship dimension to it.
Yeah.
It just depends what are you worshiping. It's hard to find a song that isn't worshiping a person or a girlfriend or money or status or a pickup truck if it's a country song or something like that. So it's like music itself has a dimension of worship, and really all Christian music is just pointing that dimension of worship in the right direction.
Yeah, I was at a really large concert one time. I'll leave the band out of it for the time being. Yeah, I won't. I'll just tell everybody.
Oh,
it
boy.
was this was when I was back in the day and using a lot of drugs and listening to music and stuff. But it was Tool. The band was Tool. You might be familiar with them.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, they're
Come at
pretty
us, Tool.
pretty overtly heretical in a couple songs, but I was sitting there at this concert, and even the time I was away from the Lord was always still had his hand on me and was not letting me go too far as much as I might try to run. But I remember sitting at a concert, and just like you were saying, Basil, about it being worship, I remembered being in this arena with 20,000 people, probably something like that. It's a basketball arena, and it was like everybody was worshiping. And they were worshiping this band, and it like just dawned on me as I was sitting there. I was like, this is worship. Like, this is what I'm used to experiencing in church or something, except all of this is being directed towards those people on stage, and it just like became this idolatry. And I was just very kind of unnerving, for a moment. And then I kind of, try to balance that with there can be an appreciation. Like, you can, even Loso, I mean, I can talk to you and say, I appreciate your talent and what you bring, and I can commend you for it, and I can say how great it is. And honestly, I mean, I guess number 9 in the universe is pretty good. I'd like to see 1 through 8. I don't know who those guys are, but maybe you can, turn me on to them. But I look at what you do, and, you just kind of have to stand there in awe. And like you were talking about with athletes, you can look at someone and appreciate it, and not worship that person. But there was something else going on, at this concert where I was like, man, this is a little more than these people just appreciating that these guys are very talented. So it's something, I guess, to kind of think about. And yeah, music, like you were saying, Basil, that it draws it out of all of us. So it is one of those things where I think we should try to be pretty intentional about where we direct that. It was cool to hear you list all those bands and Christian artists, Loso, in there, where I was like, man, that's legit. Those are all good bands.
Definitely, yeah. Nah, that's huge influences on me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Chris, as we come towards the end, Loso, I just took the past 5 minutes, and I am prepared to rap.
Go ahead, man.
All
Let's see
right?
what you got,
So
bro.
here's what we're going to do. I want to make sure everybody has had the chance to talk about what everything we need to talk about. But when it's time to go out, I think we should go like this. And Loso, you can take a second to prepare if you need. I mean, you're stepping on Ravel's premier rap master. Basil, I gotta think of a cooler rap name.
I have my rap name.
Brother Basil. There you go. That's my rap name. Brother Basil. So when we're ready, I'll lay down some bars, and then Loso, if you want to do like a response, a couple bars of a response, and then we can go out that way. Does that sound acceptable?
That definitely sounds acceptable. Could you give me 1 minute? Somebody's at my door right now.
I can give you 1 minute. Oh, gosh.
Thank you. Hold on.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, I thought this would be a good idea, but I'm immediately regretting it, Christopher. I'm glad he's giving us a minute.
To the plate, bro. I'm frantically trying to think of something to participate.
My heart is beating so fast, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to rap battle a champion. I'm gonna be able to put it on my resume, my podcasting resume, for when Joe Rogan wants to hire me to replace him. Any advice? You've done this before, Chris. Give me advice.
I have not rap battled. I had the opportunity to record in a studio, but what I would tell you is, you just gotta let it fly. Don't worry about
gotta
what
loosen
anybody's
up.
gonna think.
Gotta loosen up, huh?
You just gotta be true to
All right,
yourself.
go ahead,
Okay,
Basil, go ahead.
hold on. I just read a blog where if you want to do a good rap, you gotta loosen up physically. So I'm now standing up. I'm out of my chair. I'm just doing some stretches real quick, preparing myself for the big moment. Okay, here we go. Oh, gosh.
No one's judging, bro. This is just you. Go ahead.
That's what you think. There's people out there. Okay, here we go. Oh, the hard part is we don't have a beat, so we're just going to go straight at it. Okay, here we go. Just got to feel it. Feel it in my heart. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, gosh. Got to get close to the mic. Dr. Chris, so smart, he earned a piece of paper. Chris and Basil talk art, straight up, no taper. Recording Ravel podcast, talking about the Bible. Put the devil on blast, insurance claim, not libel. Making people mad, exploring theology. Heavenly dad, always be loving me. Loving on God, cause he loved us first. Rapping is a battle, and my sword is this verse.
Hey, let's go. First of all, that was the fact that you were able to construct all of that while me and Chris were talking is very impressive.
I'm shaking.
Good.
I can't breathe. My heart.
That was really good.
I think
The
my
crowd
heart has
goes
stopped.
wild.
And there was some double entendres in there.
I was trying, man. You know, if you're going up against the 9th rap battler, top 9 rap battler in the universe, you got to bring your A game. And
Come
apparently,
on,
I can put my A game together in about 60 seconds.
That's all it took. You see what I'm saying?
Oh man. Oh gosh.
good,
It's gonna take a lot to recover from this, Loso. So why don't you give us a few bars as response, and we can take us on out.
Man, do you guys mind if I rap something that's already written?
I would love
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, yeah. Man, you know what? I'm gonna. This is a testimonial piece that I had. So let's see if I remember this, man. This is I met this girl and she didn't look like an actress, but she loved God. See, that's what made her attractive. See, purity was the thing that we practiced, but I never thought that we could backslide from a tap kiss, because a tap kiss turned to us hugging each other, and then a hug would act turn to us touching each other. You see, it all started when we stopped doing group dates. Didn't get no better when she moved into her new place. I started chilling at her crib for too late. I'm bringing over my socks, my boxes, and my toothpaste. We sinning so much, I'm beginning to lose faith. I'm beginning to question whether she's my true mate, and I don't know if it's love or lust, but it feels like there's no hope for us. Now I'm questioning whether it's God's will, whether if God heals, or anybody's felt how I feel. Because I would just believe whatever the pastor says from the pulpit, instead of reading up on my word to know what truth is. Like if I wanted Christ, they used to tell me lift my hands in the air, and then they declared I was saved just because I said a prayer. Yet the Holy Spirit was never really there, and my lifestyle reflect like I never cared. But when Christ truly knocks at your heart and you let him in, see, when it's genuine, you become dead to sin. And when you feeling sick, he becomes your medicine. And you work out your salvation with fear and trembling. I might sound kind of bold only because I bear truth, but if you say that you saved, then you should bear fruit, because you don't want to end up cursed like the fig tree, because a corruptible seed is what sin leaves. We crucify our passions and our desires. He lives inside us, Christ the Messiah.
Yeah! That was sick. I wanted to throw in the vibe, in case anybody wanted to know what the vibe is at a battle rap.
If I'm the judge of this, I have to I have to give it to the number 9 rap
Going to
battler in the
Loso.
universe.
You got me.
Loso, still
defeat.
undefeated.
I'm crushed. But now, after this crushing defeat, I know that I must devote my life to practicing my art and coming. I'll get you someday, Loso.
Since I didn't participate in the battle, I will attach my rap verse onto the end of this
a
episode
little
for
solo
everybody
session.
to
Okay.
listen
Got
to.
it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the track that you made for your birthday?
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah.
good.
I'll throw it in so I'm not the only one not participating.
Good. All right. It was totally worth it then. Oh, I need some medication or something. All right. Oh, you had something, Chris?
Well, I was just going to tell Loso to let everybody know where they can follow your work and what's going on.
Yeah, drop your links, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. If you guys want to go ahead and follow my Twitter and Instagram, it is everything Loso. on Twitter, and Everything Loso on Instagram. Or if you just want to go to my website, which is everythingloso.com, and you can see some of my music, my battles, grab some merch there, do whatever you wish. Or if you guys are listening to this and want to book me for anything, you can go to that website as well.
Dang, nice get on the Everything Loso. That was genius. Right? Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And Loso, thank you so much for your time and for your talent and just for everything you do, man. It's really a pleasure. I'm glad to know you.
Thank you so much, man. You guys have a good day.
Oh, no. Look. Yeah, you got it, I promise. Just let your fate be the promise, just promise that you won't let it die, no. You won't let it die, no. Yeah, you got it, I promise. Just let your fate be the promise, just promise that you won't let it die, no. You won't let it die, no. Boy, this halo ain't fake, I won't lay low with fate. Watch me reach them with a record, but I ain't no Lecrae. I can't make no mistakes that will take loads away. This relationship go viral like I'm J-Lo and Dre. Yeah. He got my mind, but I know that I see that shit wanna come and get me, so I skirt like I'm Kodak. Let me run it back now. Behind these offensive lines like a running back now. I tell him. Yeah, you got it, I promise. Just let your fate be the promise, just promise that you won't let it die, no. You won't let it die, no. Yeah, you got it, I promise. Just let your fate be the promise, just promise that you won't let it die, no. You won't let it die, no.
Chris, call a doctor. Call a doctor, because my rhymes are so sick.
Well, I am a doctor. Yeah.
Oh.
Might be the wrong.
You're a doctor.
Might be the wrong kind.
You're the kind of doctor where somebody has some severe burns from some sick rhymes during a rap battle, and they say, "Is anybody a doctor here?" And you say, "I am." And they're like, "What kind?" And you're like, "A Jesus doctor." And they're like, "Oh.
Yeah.
Well, is there an actual medical doctor in here? Because these are very severe burns and require medical treatment."
Well, see, the interesting thing is that in my past life, I was also a paramedic. So,
oh my gosh.
Yes, I can.
And not only that, but we learned some more about your mysterious past.
Yeah.
Is that you officially have a hip hop track recorded.
I do.
And
yeah.
I'm mentioning it again because I'm not going to let you out of at least giving us a sample of it at the end of the show.
We will fix it to the end here. But really a fun conversation. Thanks again to Loso for his time coming on and just kind of giving us, a really interesting look into that kind of world of, rap battling and all of that, but then also into his own heart and his own mind, the creativity that's there, and then how that kind of comes together in this really kind of, I do kind of consider him a missionary, what he's doing, going into these kind of unreached people groups in a sense, and really presenting the gospel. So I'd encourage everybody to go check out his work, get online. He had said that they're moving some of the content off of YouTube, but there's still quite a bit of it there, and you can also find all of the stuff he's recorded on iTunes and Spotify and anywhere you can find music. So definitely give him a listen because he's doing a really good work out there.
Yeah, amen. Well, it was such a pleasure talking to this guy. The thing I love about podcasting is you just talk to so many cool people that teach you and help you experience life and culture in a new way. And I definitely have a renewed vision of what the rap battle scene, as well as just the experience of being a Christian within certain, subcultures, what that's like and what the importance of that is. Loso's doing great stuff.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Really cool conversation.
I can't, let the episode close here without commending you on, your performance there. That was, first of all,
Oh my gosh,
the bravery to put yourself out there in front of the world and the number 9 rap battler in the universe. And then also, it was pretty good with some refining, to
Not
do
bad,
it just
right?
in
Yeah.
5 minutes. Imagine
Not
if
bad
you
for a 5-minute rough
took
draft.
some time to refine it. So, yes, very nice.
Just imagine. You'll have to imagine it because I'll never do that. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Yes, I think I made clear about the sort of physical toll that experience took on my body. But I feel invigorated, and my hands are shaking still just a little bit from the adrenaline of taking on such a adversary in the rap battle arts. But I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, me too. And I think all the listeners are. So thank you for your offering there. And I guess
You
I'm
betcha.
going to have to make good on my offering now too. Oh man, this was never intended for people for
Public consumption.
But
Well, yeah, you could just, of course I want to respect your wishes and your privacy and your noble doctoral reputation. But, we got to at least get a little clip of it.
No,
you don't got to post the whole thing, but a little clip of one of your verses would be great.
I went by the moniker Doc Toph, which was given to me. It is was working on my PhD at the time, so they were assuming one day I would be a doctor, and it was.
Oh, so this was fairly recent. I don't know if I really comprehended how recent this
within the last
activity
5
of
years,
yours
I would
was.
say, sometime maybe around 5 years ago or so.
So since I've known you, at least.
Yeah, yep, right in that time.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Beautiful. Well, stick around for that, folks. It's going to be wonderful. And then you will have heard both Basil and Dr. Chris rap officially on a public media. Other than that, we hope you're enjoying our little mini series altogether of talking to artists. We are continuing to explore the mind of the artist and what comes from that as far as thinking about the Bible and God and theology and life and humanness and scandal and scripture and society, all sorts of good stuff. So remember, if you liked this episode or any of the episodes, please leave us a review. It's very helpful. You can also reach out to become a producer in all sorts of ways if you'd like to get involved with the show. And I think that's it. We don't have a PayPal up yet, do we?
We don't know.
No. Well, who needs it? Podcasts cannot live on money alone, but every word that, you know the thing.
Right.
That is wrapped. Every word that is wrapped from the mind of God.
Yes.
What if, do you think, how God created the universe with his words?
Yes. Spoken words, yes.
Spoken words. I wonder if God's a fan of wrapping things into existence. Just deep thoughts here at the end of the show, folks. Just things to ponder as we leave you with something to consider. Until next time on Ravel Podcast, Chris, what do you have to say for yourself?
Godspeed.
Don't you want to sound rich?
The one that's above looking down. 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 Sound rich?
go fish. Cause that ain't in the cards when you're living like this. The one that's above looking down. And in it every day that you hear the sound, I got a question, can you answer me? Is this stuff gonna matter in eternity? You got diamond rings and cars and clothes, stacks of cash and bricks of gold. But what you gonna do when this life is over? Ain't so easy to meet Jehovah. This life will end no matter what you think. It's not a ship that's too big to sink. Like Jack and Rose, you're not letting go. Gain the world, but you lost your soul. Like Jack and Rose, you're not letting go. Gain the world, but you lost your soul. The one that's above looking down. 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 The one that's above looking down.